Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I am grateful for the opportunity to address you as chair of the 2019 Group of Governmental Experts on Lethal Autonomous Weapons Systems, formed under the body that has convened this meeting, the CCW, as you set to discuss and hopefully adopt the report of our group's work. I'm sorry that I could not do so in person in Geneva. Let me certainly now express my gratitude to Ambassador Khalil Hashmi for allowing me to do so and wish him luck with the task of chairing this important meeting, and as well for the work that he and his delegation have done in pushing the financial measures forward. I will focus mostly on the recommendations part of the report though even so I should say a few words on the process as a whole. To describe the work of the GGE as consequential is an understatement. The group deals with one of the most pressing issues in the area of international security, the combination of weapons with emerging technologies that are developing with lightning speed. The potential for military use of these technologies leaves no one who works on security matters indifferent. And yet, the work of the group has been among the most constructive, respectful, precise, focused, and consensus-minded that I, at least, have seen in multilateral fora. If the report is adopted, it will be the most advanced normative deliberation on a topic that in some way involves emerging technologies based on machine learning in the world. That is because delegations consisted of legal, technological, military experts alongside diplomats, deliberations including civil society and other concerned stakeholders, and all have participated with a spirit of understanding the complexities properly in order to pave the most suitable normative path. This is evident in the conclusions part and is described in more detail in the chairman's summary that has been published. But let me turn to the recommendations part. I will first address the two parts of the report that remain in square brackets and are left for decision for the meeting of high contracting parties. One part was the number of days, with options being 30, 25 and 20 days over 2 years. Though this remains a number for delegations to agree on, and though we managed with 3 days less this year, informal meetings are no replacement for formal official days of work. Translation and interpretation services give a lot more delegations freedom to express themselves and understand others in a language that is closer to them, and attract more experts from capitals. This is important, given how complex and multifaceted our work is. Nevertheless, the financial issues that are the focus of concern for many do deserve attention as a highest priority. The other part that remains in square brackets is the phrase, open square bracket, and development, close square bracket, in the final paragraph of the report. We left this so in the wee hours of our adoption of the report in August. An expressed concern was whether such a phrase would be in line with the mandate given by the REFCON, specifically in the final document of the 5th Review Conference, and consistent with the recommendations contained in the report of the 2016 Informal Meeting of Experts on Laws. In reading these documents many times, I can comfortably say that, to say, quote, to consider the past work of the group and to use that work as a basis for the clarification, consideration and development of aspects of the normative and operational framework, end quote, is fully consistent with what is allowed by these documents. As chair, I am aware of the momentum toward consensus that was present in August, of which these two words and development form an essential part. So let me share a few general remarks as chair on a possible way ahead, and then a few specific ones. In our recommendations, we've steered away from policy options that remain, for now, hard to reconcile, though we've also reaffirmed that all policy options that have been discussed so far are not mutually exclusive. We thus focused our effort to find common ground, for which I commend all delegations. The group said that it would explore and come to consensus on possible recommendations and options over the next 2 years. The group further agreed it would use as inputs: 1. The guiding principles, which it may further develop and elaborate; 2. The work on the legal, technological and military aspects; and 3. The conclusions of the group in 2017, 2018 and 2019. The full report from this year, as do past reports, offers an abundance of consensus-based material that can be used in the future. Some, such as paragraphs 17, 19, 21 and 23 of the report, enjoyed consensus on ideas and concepts as worded. Others, such as paragraphs 18, 20, 22 and 24, indicate points that require further work. Still others, containing part 2 of the chair's summary, were discussed during the work of the GGE, but around which consensus could not be reached. All can provide a helpful roadmap and material for work of the GGE in the future, especially in the 2 years leading up to the 2021 Review Conference. I thus submit for consideration the following. First, As stated above, quote, consideration, clarification, and development of aspects of the normative and operational framework, end quote, reflects a hard-won space for consensus among many policy options that is also fully aligned with the mandate and should form the framework of the work over the next 2 years. High contracting parties to the CCW are strongly encouraged to make the consensus decision to take this process forward as such. Second, the group may wish to focus on the legal, under which there were discussions to include ethical considerations, technological and military work aspects in 2020, bearing in mind the human element and seeking to engage with relevant technical experts. It may be useful to devote 2/5 of its official days toward this goal. Third, the group may then turn to consideration, clarification, and potentially development of aspects of the normative and operational framework in 2021. It may need 3/5 of its mandated work for the 2 years on this in 2021, with the final 1/5 focused solely on negotiation. Fourth, the aspects of the normative framework may seek to delineate the boundaries, if possible, and whether toward exceptions or prohibitions, on acceptable types and degrees of autonomy in the critical functions of weapon systems, taking into account the context-dependent nature of the use of force and grounding this delineation in the human element of the use of force. And fifth, the aspects of the operational framework may focus on sharing and articulating best practices in ensuring weapon systems that employ autonomy are designed, deployed, and used consistently with applicable international law. I would end here with my thoughts on the GGE and conclude with a general sentiment. All of the work of the GGE would have been for nothing if the financial situation is not addressed. Year after year, we return to this and we have a chance this year to put together a predictable financial framework. High contracting parties must pay their assessments in full and on time, so that the substantive work of this important group and the convention under which it works may continue unhindered. Multilateral work depends on the financial commitment of those who have said that multilateral matters. Further, high contracting parties must make the effort to adopt measures that allow financial liquidity throughout the year, bearing in mind how important this process is. In the end, let me use this opportunity to thank my government and the Eastern European Group for my nomination, and to all delegations for the trust endowed in me to chair and contribute to this important work. Though there are always calls and expectations for more, we should stop and consider what we will have achieved at the end of this week, in only a few years. The group has had the form of a GGE the past 3 years, and 3 years as a meeting of experts before that, with participation of extremely knowledgeable legal, technological, and military experts and diplomats, under the very able leadership of Ambassador Gill of India in 2017 and 2018, of Ambassador Biontino of Germany before him, and Ambassador Simon Michel of France before him. We will have achieved a set of consensus guiding principles that will continue to guide the work of the group. Consensus conclusions around very complex issues from all these years of dedicated work that are packed with a lot of nuanced, layered, detailed knowledge. A forum for possible norm development, but as importantly, for communication among all stakeholders who have engaged with all the other stakeholders and contributed openly. The way we all talk about IHL principles and requirements may apply to the emerging technologies in the area of loss, distinction, proportionality, precautions, about responsibility and accountability, about the various points of tangency between humans and machines, about different types of weapons and how they may employ autonomy. All of this is becoming much more precise, nuanced, granular. The value of this should not be underestimated. And we would have set up a substantive trajectory of work between now and the review conference and beyond, with a lot of material to work with. This is, as I said, the most advanced international normative discussion that involves these emerging technologies of any in the world. That is worth remembering and keeping it going. I wish you a successful meeting and thank you once again for the opportunity to work with you. Au revoir.